So my post went viral on Instagram. I was not expecting that. It's the first time ever one of my posts get viral. So I just posted like last Sunday. Randomly, I was like, let's just post my transformation from 2017 to 2025, so today. Because, well, I changed a lot over the years. So I thought, let's just show my whole transformation, because many people know me now, but they didn't know me when I was a very skinny girl. So I just put it on Sunday, and then it went crazy viral, and I received a lot of positive comments, but also a lot of very negative comments. And it was just non-stop. At the end, it was just a lot of hate, mostly, and it was like every single day, hundreds of comments. So I just disabled the comments because it was just too much. I'm not affected by them, but I was like, I don't want to be affected by them. I like how I look. I'm feeling confident in how I look. I want to look like that. I'm not. You don't become like muscly when like just like that. Like you have to actually work for years to become the way I am. So I actually, of course, like the way I look, and I want more, and I wanted that physique. So I feel very confident and happy with my physique. So if people call me ugly, I don't care, because, well, to each their own, it's their opinion. But it was just so much hate, and I was like, every time I open my Instagram, I read a hateful comment, and I was like, no, I'm not putting on with that. I'm not allowing them to just be hateful for no reason. I can't understand the point of being mean, like completely like free of anything, just mean and hateful towards complete stranger for no reason except the way I look. I think it's absolutely, I can't understand how people can do that, to be fair, because why do you spend your time and energy just to be hateful? I've never done that. I never commented anything negative, never ever, and I will never do that, because I think that that's a very horrible thing to do. Because why do you want to make somebody feel like shit for no reason, just the way they look? I think it's a very shit personality. You have to be a shit person to do that. You have to be very insecure and feeling very shit about your life to feel that, oh, it's okay to be just mean to complete strangers for the way they look. So anyway, that's another issue. I'm not going to open that kind of worm, because that would be way too long and I would rant on that. But I thought, so I got, of course, many comments of usually men. It's like 99% men, of course, saying, oh, I look gross, oh, I look ugly, I have the worst genetics ever, I look like a man. People like men who would like me would be gay. I think, oh, you'll never find somebody because you're just like, you look like a man. And what did I get? Oh, I got plenty of like, oh, steroids, oh, she takes a fuck ton of Anavar, or she has to take a fuck ton of steroids, oh, it's so unhealthy, she takes a lot of veterinary drugs and stuff. Anyway, people are insane. And the thing is, people have no knowledge about bodybuilding and about what we do and about PED use, and even less so PED use for females. Like, it's such a taboo topic, I feel so. Like, very, very, very few females share what they do. So because of that, exactly. Well, I think like men feel more like secure and confident in sharing their cycles and their PED use to everybody, because they don't really get too much hate from that. But females we just take so much hate. So I feel like many females don't want to share that because they don't want to receive hate, which is fair enough. But it's a very, very taboo topic. So I don't think like many people know what females take and use. And there are also like, of course, different approaches. People who don't really care about their femininity and just take a fuck ton of drugs, and people who care about their femininity and try to do it smartly. And I'm in this second category. So for a little bit of background, I'm a vet. I'm a veterinary surgeon, so I actually have knowledge, like medical knowledge and scientific knowledge and biology knowledge and physiology, pharmacology. So I deeply understand how things work at a physiological level and pharmacological level. So I started training in 2015, so 10 years ago. And then I was just very skinny. I used to be chubby in high school, then I lost a lot of weight, and then I was very, very skinny. Started going to the gym and train, started loving it and train even more. And then in 2017, so that's the first picture on the left, I had only 2 years bodybuilding, but I was so scared of gaining weight because I used to be fat. So I was under eating, always very low calories, like 1,500. I was really low all the time. So even though I trained, and I always trained very seriously, for 2 years so far, I was still very small and not making really any progress because I was not eating enough. I was not fueling my training. So I was not putting on as much muscle as I could have, eating more. So this is why I was still pretty skinny. And then I understood that if I want to get muscle mass, I need to eat more. And I need to actually like just spend time in a surplus so I could get muscle mass. So it's what I've done. So from 2017 to 2021, I've done that. So I did like bulking and then cutting and bulking and cutting. And this is where I started making decent progress. So of course I was completely natural then. And then in 2020, 2021, I started to be exposed to competing because before that I had really no idea about like what happens with competing and how it works, and I was not interested in competing. But after that I started to like follow competitors and stuff, so I was more and more exposed to the competing scene. And in 2021 I decided to do my first prep. And also disclaimer, something I didn't say so far is from the very beginning, I'm self-coaching. I never had a coach, so I've always been my own coach. And that's an important detail. So I've always self-coached. So in 2021, I did my first prep as a natural athlete. So I was completely natural. I didn't do a lot of bulkings before that, so I was still relatively small, but I still had a decent shape for a natural athlete. Like I still had a decent muscle mass, and I managed to get pretty lean. Like I had striations everywhere, veins everywhere. I was very, very lean. So I brought on a very good conditioning on stage. So yeah, I did my first season completely natural. And I did natty shows and untested shows, see what I like the most and see what I want to do later. So I actually really liked competing, but I didn't really enjoy the natural shows, and I'm not inspired by natural physics. It's not what I like. Again, to each their own, we have different tastes, we have different things we like and we don't like. And I'm not inspired with natural physics. It's not something I'm looking up to. I don't think it looks amazing. I really like, though, not natural physics. I like enhanced physics. It's what I like, and it's what inspires me, and it's what I want for myself. So I was like, I don't really enjoy natural shows. I don't like natural physics. I like enhanced physics. And I had a lot of fun doing untested shows. So after my whole season in 2021, I was like, I want to compete with NPC. I want to compete in figure. And I want to be as big as I can while staying feminine. So, and I like enhanced physics. I want to be much bigger. So I was like, okay, so in this case, I will have to be enhanced. But before that, before starting taking anything, I want to know and deeply understand how to do things the right way and how to use PEDs to stay as feminine as possible and limit virilization as much as possible, because for me that's very important. I want to stay as feminine as possible. I know, of course, there is a degree of virilization. That's going to happen for sure. But if I can keep it as low as possible, for me that's something I'm happy with. So it's just about keeping my features, keeping my voice, keeping just my own femininity, because I've never been a very feminine girl. Like, even in the past, I've never been very feminine looking. Like, I'm not a girly girl. I'm not like very girly. I'm not putting a lot of makeup on. My facial features are not extremely feminine. So it's just about keeping my features and keeping my voice. I don't mind if my voice drops a bit, but what I mind if my voice starts turning a bit weird. That would be an issue for me. So anyway, I was like, I want to learn about everything, about all the side effects, about how to use things properly to stay feminine. So I learned about the safer use model by Victor Black. I did the whole G3U course, and I've done other things like read books about PEDs, books about women's health and everything like that, and hormones. So when I started taking PEDs, I had all the knowledge and knew exactly how to do it the best way possible to stay feminine, to prevent virilization, and to be able to gain as much muscle mass as possible while staying feminine. So my first cycle was in June till July 2022 with 35 milligram of masteron. So also a disclaimer, so after my recovery phase in 2021, I did a blood test. My testosterone was very, very low, like 0.2. And yeah, it was very low. So with that, because I wanted to be enhanced and my test was very low, I was like, I want to optimize my testosterone level. So I started TRT in 2022. So in January 2022, I started TRT, and I was on testosterone per week, 6 milligram per week, 3 injections of 2 milligram, and 1 unit of GH daily. That's it. So I was on that, but I'm on all year round on TRT and GH, and I do blood tests to make sure that my testosterone is not above range. So TRT means testosterone replacement therapy. So the point is to stay in range and never be above range. So I'm still in the physiological range for testosterone for women. So it's just optimizing my testosterone while staying in the normal physiologic range. So far, I was just on TRT and GH and 1 unit of GH. Then in June, July, I did my first cycle with 35 milligram of masteron for 6 weeks. My cycles are never longer than 8. So I'm usually doing between 6 and 8 weeks long cycles. So I did my first cycle then. My second cycle was later on during the year with 50 milligram, but then I used Primo just because it's a bit less side effects, like visualization on paper at least. So I tried Primo then, and then I did a cut and then cycle in February with 70 milligram of Primo, then July 84 milligram of Primo, and then November 98 milligram of Primo in 2023. Then 2024, I did a few cycles, but 2024 was the year of my prep. So what I did is before I started prep in April, so I did the cycle before my prep, so at the end of the growth phase, I did the cycle, then I started prep, and then I did the cycle at the middle of prep and end of prep, and the dose at the end of prep is much lower because you don't need anabolism at this point. You just need it for muscle retention and to give that look with the fullness, the dryness, the hard look. So I dropped it to 105 milligram per week of Primo because I didn't need more than that. So yeah, that was a low dose and that did the job perfectly. And then cycle again after my recovery phase in 2024, and then 2 cycles only in 2025 because I did the normal cut. I didn't prep, I didn't compete in 2025, so there is no point using anabolics and exposing myself to side effects if I'm not competing. So I did my full cut without anabolics, and then a cycle when I came back to my growth phase. So yeah, so it's just to show that, first of all, I used only Masteron first cycle. My last cycle was also with Masteron because of the shortage and stuff with gear. So all my cycles were between 6 and 8 weeks long with Masteron or Primo. I think I did Anaba for 2 weeks at some point during prep last year, and I didn't like it because I could feel my voice starting to be a bit raspy, and I was like, that's no good, so I stopped straight away Anavar. So that's the only time I've done Anavar, and I'm not doing it again. So I basically only did Masteron and Primo the entire time, 6 to 8 weeks maximum. I never touched anti-estrogens, never, like Aromacin, Arimidex, never. I never touched Tren. I never touched Winstrol. I never touched Anadrol. I barely touched Anavar. It was only 2 weeks, and I took, I think, 5 milligrams per day, and I was like, no. So barely not Anavar. So yeah, and these doses, so my maximum dose ever, so my last cycle was 140 milligrams per week of Primo / Masteron, which is it's not a very low dose, don't get me wrong, but it's not a very high dose either. I heard bikini girls taking much more than I do, and I'm going for women's bodybuilding, okay? So I'm not doing figure, I'm not doing women's physique, I'm doing women's bodybuilding. Because when I competed in 2024, they told me I have to go for women's bodybuilding because of my structure and because I'm very dense and because of my muscle mass. So I'm not going for low muscularity categories, I'm going for women's bodybuilding. But like girls doing women's bodybuilding or women's physique or figure, many take much more than I do. I heard girls, especially from the United States, I heard so many cycles from females there, and it's crazy. Like, they're on trend, they are on Masteron, they are on Anavar and Primo in the same cycle, and they take Winstrol and they start super early on in prep, and they are on a lot, like they stay for a very long time on cycle and they go for a high dose of different things. And I've never done NPP either, never took any DECA, no NPP. Many girls take NPP, for example. So I'm not saying I'm very low, I'm not very low, but I'm definitely not very high, and I'm doing it the smartest way I can to stay feminine. Like, it's not very high doses. I haven't touched so many different PEDs. I've only done Masteron and Primo. I'm all year round on TRT and GH, and I do bloods to make sure I'm in the physiological range for testosterone. I'm never above range for testosterone. GH, 3 to 4 units. During a cycle, I go up to 4 units. Out of a cycle, I'm staying at 3 units per day of GH. And yeah, that's it. So it's just to show that my transformation is pretty crazy. But it depends on so many different things. Like, my structure is shit. I have a shit structure. I agree with the haters. I have a shit structure. I'm like Nick Walker. But I put on muscle pretty easily, and I train really hard, and everything is nailed. I'm not drinking, I'm not smoking. My lifestyle is around bodybuilding, like doing my best with that. And yeah, genetically, I think I'm a good responder to PEDs, meaning I respond really well from lower dose, and I have minimal side effects. This is why I managed to maintain my features and my voice as much as I do now, even though I gain a lot of muscle, like a lot. So yeah, I just wanted to share that because so many people were like, oh my God, to transform like that, you have to take so much gear and you have to like go on a very unhealthy level of gear use. But no, like, I just want to show that it doesn't have to be like that. Like, you can make really good progress and you don't have to take a lot, and you don't have to take many PEDs and anabolics. I think it's important to know because, as I said, I heard so many girls taking double what I take and take many different things. And if they are aware of the risks and they're happy with the risks, that's absolutely fine. But you have to be aware of the risk and be happy with the risks, because virilization is going to happen and it's not going away. When it's here, it's here. So there is a life after bodybuilding, and I think it's important for them to know that and to be very well aware before starting anything. And I think, like, because it's such a taboo topic, PEDs with women, like PDUs for women, that many girls are not aware about what is the best way of doing it. So they just follow the coach instructions, and many coaches are male coach and they think that female are small males, and it's not the case. And they don't understand female hormonal health and femininity and stuff. So they just blast a lot of PEDs that are not women's friendly, and then they have a lot of utilization. So yeah, I think it's important to be aware. If you're happy with the side effects, if you're happy with losing your hair, facial hair, hair growth, clitoris enlargement, voice changes, facial changes, like all of these things, if you're happy with that and you don't have any issue with that happening to you, go for it. You know what, you can go ham with drugs if you want to, that's fine. But if you don't want that for yourself, you have to be very cautious with what you do with your body and what you use. And that just shows that you don't have to go completely crazy with it, and you can do it the right way. So yeah, it's just for all the, I'm doing that video, I think like many haters anyway, they have zero understanding and knowledge about PED use, even less so for women. So it might not really, like, they will never understand anyway. because you don't have a lot of brain cells to start with. But it's just to show that you can have crazy transformations. It doesn't imply that to have this crazy transformation, you have to take a crazy amount of gear. At the top level, most of the athletes are not going crazy with drugs because they have just such a good genetic and very good response to gear that they can get along with smaller amount and get crazy effects on them. So you can't assume that people having crazy progression and transformation obviously took a lot of gear, because it doesn't go hand to hand. Some people have minimal shit results and take a fuck ton of gear. Some people take only small amount of gear and have crazy results. It's really all about your genetic response to gear. And of course, but it's kind of the elephant in the room, because I think like everybody knows that already. But of course, everything else has to be on point. Lifestyle, diet, nutrition, recovery, training, everything has to be perfectly on point, because you can take all the gear you want. You're never going to have this transformation if you're not putting everything into it. Like if you're not working super hard to get jacked, it's not going to happen like that, okay? So yeah, I think it's good to be transparent and to share that, especially also for other females, to be like, all right, I want to be enhanced, or I'm already enhanced. Is what I'm doing the best way of doing it? Am I happy with how I'm dealing with things? Do I want that for myself? Like, it's a lot of things to consider. So yeah, I thought I'm very transparent with that. I never claimed that was natural when I started PEDs. I've always been very open with what I do because I think it's important to be. And I'm doing it the safest way possible. It still comes with side effects, of course. There is still a degree of utilization, of course, but I want to keep it as low as possible. And I think so far I've done a good job with that. So yeah, but I think that's it for this video. I'll share a bit more with that, with PEDs and stuff. If you have any questions, you can write your questions down and I'll answer your questions. But yeah, I think like it's just so lame to see a transformation and just scream like, oh, looks ugly, looks like a man, or steroids and stuff. Like when you have no idea about what I'm doing, about what I'm taking, about my training, about my nutrition, about everything, like you can't just comment hate with zero knowledge about the person you're eating. Like it's, yeah. Anyway, that's it for me today. Again, if you have questions, write them down below. And thank you for staying along.